for today is a show to look at what is going on in your life and what needs the intervention of God in your life.
Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the proof of things we do not see.
We are here for you. We are not here only for ourselves.
We are live every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. We boost your faith.
It is time to revive your faith.
Faith is for now, faith is for today. God has given us the breath of life.
Your faith today, live with Reverend Felix Kavoi.
Well, good evening and welcome to EBN Weekend Edition. My name is Frederick Njiri. Welcome on this beautiful Sunday. I don't know about you. I mean, the days are becoming extremely cold, but I hope that the news we are going to be giving you in a couple of minutes or so and the discussion we are going to have afterwards is going to keep you warm. First, let's get the highlights.
Zote ili Ruto asipate kufanya kazi. Na wakati watakuja kusema tunataka signature.
We will deal with you. Kenya Kwanza leaders call for the arrest of Azimio leader Raila Odinga ahead of Wednesday's demonstrations.
Are out and we have written to Teacher Service Commission and have given them 14 days to bring us to table so that we start review.
You have 14 days. Teachers Union NAT now tells the government of a salary hike demand of a high cost of living.
Crying, children are left orphans. Umaskini, watu wamechukua ng'ombe ya watu, wamechukua mbuzi ya watu. Watu wameishi maskini sababu ya watu. Hii si banditry tena.
Cattle rustling attack in Marakwet leads to the death of one person as residents now warn retaliatory attacks.
Now, welcome back. Now, it's all about the demonstrations, scheduled demonstrations this coming Wednesday and the collection of signatures. And that's where we're going to start this evening as Kenya Kwanza leaders are now demanding that Azimio leaders be arrested for destruction of properties and an attempt to overthrow the government. The leaders say the opposition leaders have been leading their goons into the streets and destroying property and livelihoods, leading to the deaths of at least 6 people. Kenyans have also frowned at the opposition leader campaigning to collect signatures to force President William Ruto's government out, saying this was an act in futility.
Chaos was the order of the day on Friday during the Azimio-led Sabasaba rally that left at least 6 people dead. And now, Kenya Kwanza leaders are demanding action against opposition leaders. The leaders say no one is above the law and have warned they will ensure the scheduled Wednesday demonstration by Azimio are stopped in their tracks. The leaders have threatened to have Raila Odinga, the Azimio leader, arrested.
Sisi hapa tunataka maendeleo ama namna gani bwana? Na sisi hatusemi kwa ubaya ya huyu mzee. Tunamwambia wakati wake ya retirement imefika. Raila anajua maana ya hiyo, ndio anapiga hizi kelele zote ili Ruto asipate kufanya kazi. Na wakati watakuja kusema tunataka signature ya kumfukuza Ruto, fukuzeni hawa. Sisi tungependa kuambia Raila, William Ruto is here to stay until 2032. Ukitaka kuokota signatures kuja 2033, wakati tutakuwa na kina Rigathi Gachagua Musalia Mudavadi, Wetangula, na mimi Malala, na huyu Mungatana, na huyu Rasu. Sindio? Hii ndio serikali ya awamu ya 5. Sisi tumekuwa Kenya tu. Lakini hii ndio mara ya kwanza tumetambulika na tumepewa wadhifa ambaye hatujapewa serikali 4 zilizopita.
In a rally today in Luo Nyanza, Azimio leaders vowed nothing will stand in their way.
Public. So we can decide through extra parliamentary means, through extra constitutional means to bring about change in Kenya. And we have done it before. He should know collecting signatures is just the beginning.
Under the Constitution, the people can express themselves in whichever way they deem fit. And if they choose to append their signatures as a demonstration of their lack of confidence in your regime, it is none of your business.
Pokot South Member of Parliament, Kosin, says he will lead the signature collection campaign in the Rift Valley.
And I want to tell the people of Kenya to watch the people who are being bought left, right, and center to sell the rights and defense of the people of Kenya and their constituents. And that is why we're saying, and I'm saying from where I sit in Kapenguria, we are going to join in the collection of 10 million signatures. Yes, to send a message. If you buy parliamentarians and few parliamentarians, the way you have owned up, you will not buy the people of Kenya.
Political analysts and lawyers say that the new plot by Raila Odinga to collect signatures will lead to nothing, as the Constitution does not provide for it. The law is very clear, they say, when it comes to the removal of a president. Article 145 on the removal of the president says, a member of the National Assembly, supported by at least a third of all members, may move a motion for the impeachment of the president. A, on the grounds of gross violation of a provision of the Constitution or any other law, where there are serious reasons for believing that the president has committed a crime under national or international law, or for gross misconduct. 2. If the motion under Clause 1 is supported by at least 2/3 of all the members of the National Assembly, A, the Speaker shall inform the Speaker of the Senate of that resolution within 2 days, and B, the President shall continue to perform the functions of the office pending the outcome of the proceedings required by this article. On Saturday, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua condemned Raila's latest move, terming it an action in futility.
Azimio people must know that elections are over. Elections were won and lost. They must move on. The truth of the matter is that William Ruto is the president of Kenya, and nothing can change that fact.
As the tug of war between the national government and the opposition continues, the victim is the economy, which both parties say they are trying to save. Most of the investors are now developing cold feet, not sure their investments will be secured.
Now, later on in this bulletin, we'll be having a conversation around these issues about the collection of signatures and what is going to happen tomorrow in the courts, which I'm about to tell you, where President William Ruto might today be sleeping with his fingers crossed, as tomorrow he will know whether the suspension on the implementation of the new Finance Act will be lifted or not. Now, the High Court in Nairobi last week extended the orders issued in the case filed by Busia Senator Okiya Omtata and lawyer Otiende Amolo, pending its hearing and determination. In their submission, the duo argues that the state will suffer no harm if the orders are extended and conservatory orders are issued. They have claimed that some sections threaten the very right to property and access to justice. Now violate the Constitution in general. That's what Omtata has been saying. Now, still on the Finance Act and the implementation of the same, it was expected that pretty soon everybody will start asking for salary hikes, and it has already started. as workers' union demands salary reviews amidst new tax laws. Now, following the passage of the Finance Act that has pushed the cost of living up, the government has started facing pressure from different sectors and unions who are demanding for salary hikes.
The Salaries and Remuneration Commission stopped us from negotiating anything monetary in 2021. But now that it lifted the caveat about negotiations, we are out and we have written to Teacher Service Commission and have given them 14 days to bring us to table so that we start review of the non-monetary CBA that we signed in 2021. We cannot forget that the economic situation in this country is so biting. And that is why we need to sit again with TSC.
Well, that's not Secretary General Collins Oyu, who told the press that teachers were facing a severe financial crisis due to the high cost of living, and noted that the current salaries are not commensurate to the kind of work that teachers do. So they've given the government 14 days to respond to that. Now, the government and basically parents in general have been urged to invest more on identifying careers of people, more so children, at their early age to avoid wastage of resources and time in schools. The experts say in the West, careers of the little ones are discovered early. Humphrey Obora, the Secretary General of World Talent Federation, says kits are available that can help predict the career of a person 20 to 30 years early. Humphrey, who hosted the Vice President of the World Talent Federation alongside other top officials of the Federation from the US of A in preparation of an event that will see the launch of an anthropo-biometric machine. What they are saying is a career forecasting aiding kit at Starehe Boys Center that was done today. The machine is customized for scientific and professional talent assessment with career forecasting modules, and after interpretation by talent experts, it will help predict or forecast the career of a 4-year-old child to around 30 years in advance. Pretty interesting.
Careers. Today in the world, that machine can help us know the career of a 4, 5, 6-year-old child 20, 30 years in advance. That means you as a parent, you as a teacher, you as a government, you know where to put money, time, and effort in advance without any usual waste that we make in our education systems. As you know today, many parents, they sell their land, cattle, all savings they have in the hope that when they take their children to school, into universities, those children will come back and buy for them more cows, buy for them more land, put more money in their investments. Those parents are disillusioned because you know, as I do, that they are told by no other than government that there are no jobs. It is for this reason that I decided as an African, as a Kenyan, to come and do something a little bit different on this continent and in this country. Now, this machine is a 3D optical sensing equipment. It is a camera, just like this other camera.
That's why they're giving a donation. That's why in Europe alone, and I can also speak as an ex-personal assistant to Dr. Griffin, when a player in the Super League or in the Premier League gets hurt or a broken leg, they will tell you that Rooney will be out of the game for 4 weeks. And indeed 4 weeks. How do they know it? Or 2 days? Or 4 days? How do they know? That's part of that machine we're talking about here. That can predict the pathways, the time, and even tell who is going to be the leader, who is going to be the cleaner, who is going to be this. So it is real. They know it out there. But now, thank God, with my brother here and his colleague, the same opportunity being given to us in Africa. And I've given you an example. 30, 40 years ago, Griffin already predicted, and I had that desire, that I would get to where I am now. I'm one of those people that's celebrating that I am glad I took the right path. So yes, it's real. But remember, my friend here is talking about $250,000 US. However, had the national government, and I'm also now speaking as a government officer, even though from county government of Kisumu, had the national government sought the help of Professor Bora as they started, without distorting the idea, I can tell you CBC would have been a great success. They need to sort him again, and we'll get it right. I am appealing to our government to consider that. It will work.
Well, I must say, I would really love to know how that gadget works. If it can be able to determine or predict the kind of career that, somebody should take. Very interesting stuff. We're living in the days of technology. And I hope this is one thing that technology can be able to sort out. Because tensions remain high in Terrain area of Baringo North after one person was shot dead and 2 others injured following an ambush by suspected bandits. Now, the incident prompted security teams from both Elgeyo Marakwet and Baringo to hold a meeting with the locals to avoid a retaliatory attack. Locals now blame security agencies for failing to arrest the suspect, who was once rescued by fellow bandits from Iten Referral Hospital, and the group has now regrouped, laying ambush on neighboring communities. Kerio Valley had witnessed relative calm for a period of around 3 months after 2 people were killed in the same area. The angry locals say the government has failed by not arresting the suspect, who is roaming the area freely, issuing threats to those who dare him.
Children are left orphans. Umaskini, watu wamechukua ng'ombe ya watu, wamechukua mbuzi ya watu. Watu wameishi maskini sababu ya watu. Hii si banditry tena. Hata kama huyo brother yangu angeuliwa angekuwa na ng'ombe, tungesema walikuwa wanataka ng'ombe. Hawakuwa wanataka mtu. Sasa yeye alikuwa na nini? Ameuliwa juu ya nini?
Sisi kama serikali tumesema tunataka wananchi waishi vizuri. Wakae pamoja, wakae na amani, washirikiane na sisi tubambane na yule ambaye ni mhalifu. Ndio maana leo pia tuko na kamati yetu ya Marakwet, tumewaita wakilishi kuweza kujadiliana ni namna gani ambayo tutafanya ili vitendo kama hivi visiweze kurudiwa.
Tumewapatia serikali wiki moja wahakikishe ya kwamba wale kenge 5 ambao wanakaa hapa Arora Elgeyo Marakwet, watu ya Elgeyo Marakwet wote wengi ni wazuri, lakini hii criminal siko hapa. Serikali wafanye kitu kwa kipindi ya siku 5, tunataka tusikie wameshikwa au wamewawa.
I really hope that we can, as a country, come to a place where we value lives. Somebody just going around shooting people, it's ridiculous, it's madness. And I hope that, the government can come down really hard on some of these individuals who believe that they have the right to take other people's property and life. Now we're going to go for a short break. Now when we come back, we're going to have a conversation about what is about to happen this week. Tomorrow, the courts are going to decide whether the Finance Act will remain suspended or it can, take effect. Even though we're still paying, fuel as high as immediately after it was taken up by EPRA. EPRA is also supposed to be taken to court over the same. And then also, this coming Wednesday, Azimio has said they're going to go for other demonstrations, and they've already started collecting signatures to see whether they can remove President William Ruto from office. So we'll have that conversation. Don't go away.
From Nairobi, Kenya, this is EBN TV.
This is EBN TV, transforming your world.
Through the morning rush and the buzz, find a voice you can trust, a voice of reason, a voice of direction, and a voice of hope.
Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Live. I'm Cynthia Nanjala.
And I'm Samia Dika. Rise and shine, folks. We hope you are ready for an energizing start to your day.
Absolutely. We are here to bring you the latest headlines and trending news stories from the world of politics,
business and finance, health and lifestyle,
agriculture and sports.
So grab your coffee, sit back and get ready for a fantastic morning of engaging discussions and news segments.
Join us through our social media handles, #The Morning Live. This is Morning Live, exclusively on EBN TV.
Hello, praise the Lord. My name is Pastor Joseph Musajawaza of Unfailing Love Ministries. I'm inviting you every Wednesday to join us on our program, Victory Through the Word. In this program, we teach you God's Word. We teach you to find solutions and answers to the struggles of life through the Word of God. Everything you ever go through in life, every pain, every tear, every worry, and every questions that you may ever have in this life. You may not get answers out there, but in God's Word, there are answers and there is a solution. The Bible says that God has exalted His Word above His name. In His Word, there is hope. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but His Word will always remain abide. I encourage you, engage with us as we study together, as you ask your questions, and let your questions be answered as you are built and as you hear God's Word. Our church is located in Umoja, Inako, near Olobon Hotel, just off Sango Stage along Moi Drive, and the court is known as Church Court. Give us a visit and your life will not remain the same. God bless you. Let's meet every Wednesday from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. only on EBN Television.
Well, welcome back, and as promised earlier, when we come after the break, we are going to have a conversation about what is supposed to be happening this week. There's a collection of signatures which has already started by Azimio. Then Wednesday, there's supposed to be a demonstration. At the same time, tomorrow morning, the courts will determine whether the Finance Act will remain enacted or is going to be declared an illegality. And with me, I've got a gentleman called Abel Njiri. Karibu sana. Now, it's a very interesting week we are starting. Starting this Monday, this tomorrow, we will know whether the Finance Act is going to remain in force or whether it's going to be suspended. For as long as I know, I even fueled the car today. The prices of fuel, the price of fuel per liter is still the same, hasn't changed.
Yeah, it stands at 195.
Yes.
Petrol. And I think that is a move of about 7 shillings from the previous. I think it was around 182, 183. The EPLA, I think, latest at this week.
Yes. But that's an illegality, isn't it? Because the prices went up immediately after the Finance Act was implemented.
Yes.
And the courts declared themselves that the Finance Act stands suspended.
That's the point. And I think we've had a lot of discussions around the legal nature of, the courts of law, and it remains highly illegality because the law supporting that kind of increment has been suspended.
Mhm.
We expected an announcement from EBN that because of the suspension, because of the pronouncement of the courts, the president have to go down back to where they were before the act came into force. I haven't seen that,
Mhm.
which obviously now takes us to another new area of not respecting the courts.
Completely, this is government, it's defying the law, the Constitution. Which
One would ask, who is God of the Bible? Where did the world come from? Is man basically good? What is the hope of man after this life? Is Jesus God? What does the Bible really say about Christianity? How did God come to exist? Is the Bible really the Word of God? This and many other questions on religion need answers. Join teachers of the Word and theologians every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. on the program Bible Theology Show, where all your questions will be answered only on EBN TV.
Watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
This is EBN TV, transforming your world.
With great love and joy, I especially welcome you to worship with us at Redeemed Gospel Church Buruburu. This is a true family church, a true spiritual home. Redeemed Gospel Church Buruburu is home to exuberant prayers, deep and true worship. A house of prayer that will leave you feeling refreshed. Our first service starts at 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and our second service starts at 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Wednesdays, we have our midweek service from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and every Friday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. we have our night of glory. This is the church you have been looking for. This is the place for your spiritual growth and maturity. See you this Sunday and karibu sana.
Faith for today is a show to just look at what is going on in your life and what needs the intervention of God in your life.
Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the proof of things we do not see.
We are here for you. We are not here only for ourselves.
We are live every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. We boost your faith.
It is time to revive your faith.
Faith is for now, faith is for today. God has given us the breath of life.
Your faith today, live with Reverend Felix Kavoi.
I go by the name Njiri. Oh, hey.
Hey, welcome to the Manifest Show, the latest show in East Africa. Tunakupea dance moto, tunakupea muziki from the latest songs.
Ndio masaa yetu.
Come every Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
Kuna shona kila kona, kama unareka sana bana ungekuja jana.
We have amazing guest artists.
Na usisahau kuna word. Na pia kuna amazing topics. Don't miss to watch this
on the Manifest Show, only on EBN TV.
Makofi.
Apologize for that. We disappeared off air like the Challenger disappeared when it was going to space. But we had started a conversation about the Finance Act, and the fact that the fuel prices are still as high as they were when EPRA implemented them immediately after the Finance Act was enacted rather, and the courts declared themselves suspending the implementation of the Finance Act. So it's an outright defiance of the courts.
From a legal standpoint, that is what it is.
Yes.
Because obviously the prices were hiked based on the provisions in the new law.
Yeah.
And now that the courts found the act, unfit for this duration, they should have also taken the prices back to where they were prior to the enactment of the law.
Yes.
So the view is now they've defied the courts. It's a bad precedence. It's a very slippery slope. And we, like I said earlier, the president has to actually intervene and make sure he guides all these guys he has appointed to all these parastatals and corporations so that he does not just appear to be obeying the constitution by word of mouth.
Yeah.
It has to be in action.
What happens if tomorrow the courts declare themselves and they say the Finance Act stands
suspended?
Yes. Or annulled for that matter?
Number one, that will put us in a serious economic crisis because earlier on it had been enacted. Obviously, it came into force. Now, if it's declared suspended, it means we'll not have a budget to actually look up to, which means the guys who use the laws to supply goods into the market like fuel will have no guidance.
They will have no guidance, direction.
Yes. So that can lead to some of these guys pulling out until such a time that we have a clear way of offering them what? Rules and regulations guiding the importation of all these commodities and how they are supposed to be priced, which can lead to obviously a shortage. Yes.
Now, if I can take you back to the Sabasaba Day.
Yes.
That was Friday.
Yeah.
By today, 6 people are said to have basically lost their lives because of the demonstrations. You talk mostly because having been shot by police, some stray bullets, some I don't know what I can call whether it was direct shots. This is in Kisumu and Kisii. Now, Wednesday again, we are looking at a resumption of the weekly demonstrations. What is this doing to the country? I know there are rights that have to be fought for.
Yes.
And Raila and his team are definitely justified in seeking some way, but is this the direction we should head?
As a country, I think we find ourselves in a very, very unique position because of the manner in which Raila has used his, constitutional right to picket or to call for demonstrations. When you look at the law itself, which obviously claims to be trying to fight against, it does not differ from, like I said earlier, the budget of Uhuru Kenyatta of 2022-2023. And the only difference is the doubling of the fuel levy from 8% to 16%. Otherwise, every other thing remains constant. When you look at the housing levy, which they made so much noise about, it's the same principle which Raila supported when Uhuru Kenyatta proposed. So this idea of duplicity, speaking from both sides of the mouth, is total dishonesty. Now, the issue is Raila has a following. He's a man who's been in politics for so long, close to 5 decades. So he's built political capital. There are people who consider him some kind of cult leader. So if he tells them, I want you guys to wake up in the middle of the night to go burn something, they'll do that. Now,
But obviously, he does not tell anybody to go burn, because we've never heard him saying that.
No, he has not.
Just calls people to go out to demonstrate for certain issues.
Yes. So fighting against the law is neither here nor there. That is total dishonesty. If I have to stretch my imagination, is trying to push the president to send a message to his followers that I know the election was not conducted in a manner that we're satisfied with, and we're still going to push, maybe in preparation for 2027, in total disregard of the damage to the economy the demonstrations do. Because at the end of the day, trust me, the signatures will head nowhere. The president is in office until at least 2027, unless something happens, in the middle before the next election. So it's a fool's errand. It's a pursuit of nothing. If he meant...
Is it really a pursuit of nothing? Because remember, this is a very, very same thing that, is started immediately after the 2017 election.
Which led to the handshake.
Yeah, and it led to the handshake.
Yes.
He's probably, you can say, politician par excellence. I mean, this is a career politician who knows which buttons to press. And I was checking, a number of analysts who are saying, don't ignore these demonstrations. They can morph into something else.
Now, that is the kind of, freedom of thought. We think and stretch our imagination in all directions. Some people can say, people can demonstrate to a point where the president is pushed out of office. That is not possible, not here. Some people will say...
What is the difference between here and places like, Egypt?
We have what we call precedents.
Tunisia.
We have what we call precedents. Even in Egypt and Tunisia, those are actually isolated cases. They were part of the Arab Spring. We have West African countries that have a history of guys demonstrating until a president is kicked out of office. You go to Burkina Faso, we have had that. You go to Mali, such places, not in Kenya. And then we're talking about a president who is still popular, was just elected maybe 1 year ago, right? He's been in office for a very short time. His government has been in office for less than a year, right? Up to now, he does not have a complete government because the CS thing was again also dismissed. So he's not yet done actually putting together a government. So that is where, and you realize the opposition began protesting even before this guy could come up with a cabinet. So that is where the dishonesty is, and Kenyans can see that. So if the former prime minister was honest and genuinely interested in making life better for Kenyans, he'd wait for this guy to have his budget in place, give him time, and if the economy does not respond to his policies, now he can tell Kenyans, you know what, we've given this guy time and he has failed. We have a legitimate reason to want to even kick him out of office. So at this early point, it's total dishonesty. And
but if you look at where it hurts the most,
yes,
the level of inflation in the country is pretty high.
Yes.
I mean, you only need to go to the supermarket with the same amount of money you used to buy things, say, around 2 or 3 years ago, and see what happens. went to the supermarket with my wife, and she was shocked. Actually, let me say I was shocked because the amount of money that I used to give for shopping, and I would, look up the trolley, and you can walk around with your chest held high.
Yeah.
You look at what that amount is buying today. You're not even half the trolley.
Yeah.
And so that pinch is really, it's pinching really deep.
Yeah.
And obviously, as a result of that, rightly so or wrongly so, Raila has gathered a lot of support because quite a number of people are feeling the pinch.
Yeah, and I agree with you to a large extent because when people suffer, sometimes they don't even get to use logic.
Yes.
They just come out and express emotions. So, and the president, from the time he was campaigning, does not believe in too much communication, what we call propaganda. And that is a lacuna that has been exploited, very intelligently by the opposition.
The government is not communicating a lot what they're doing.
Yes, number one, the government should be very busy as they're working very hard to put the government together and put policies in place to improve the lives of Kenyans. They should be telling Kenyans that, remember, we got this country in a hole, and we are just trying to do what? To pull it out of that. And it's not going to be easy. It's not a 1 week, 1 month, or even 1 year kind of business.
Yes.
It's going to hurt for a while, but trust me, after a while, it shall be okay. The number of times the president opens
that
his
communication
mouth,
is not coming.
It's not coming out. It's not as strong as it should be. Actually, I think the best communicator the president has is himself. All the other guys are asleep. To a large extent, the deputy president also does a good job. The people should be busy explaining to Kenyans how tough things were. People like Musalia Mudavadi, who is a seasoned government official, he has been in government. You go back to the 90s when there was a problem. He's the one who was appointed finance minister.
Yes.
And he played a very key role in redeeming the country's financial position.
Yes.
So he should be out there because Kenyans can actually trust him, reminding Kenyans time and time again that we got this country in what? In a pit latrine. So for us to pull it out to a point where Kenyans can feel the benefit of a new government and a new economy that is, booming, it's going to take time. Tighten your belts. So the opposition exploits that kind of vacuum and gets the kind of following you see. But the people with a legitimate and honest case is the government, the people in government. Because the same Raila is complaining now knows very well, deep inside his heart, he knows when the former government, which he led with the former president, was messing this country, he was part of it. He was actually supporting everything, including the debt ceiling. When it was being increased, he said, kila nchi yuko na deni, so deni si kitu ya kubuyaka. That he was responding to the current president when he was complaining about what? The, rising debt level of the country. So we need to have some honesty in this case. And one thing you forget is, when he calls Mandamano and all these guys come to the streets, and they have to deal with the police and stuff like that, the people who suffer is his followers. Okay, they don't go to work. Some of them get shot, and you cannot promise.
But it's not just his followers. I mean, go to the CBD. Everything basically just ground to a halt.
Yeah. Now we're talking about direct confrontation with the police. But when it comes now to, we have what we call the domino effect. When there's disorder, obviously, when we have chaos all over, businessmen and businesswomen cannot go to open their shops. So for that particular day, the economy grinds to a halt. So the country loses. So it's a funny kind of thing, you're promising to all the demonstrations to bring about a better economic environment for people, and yet that is the very economy you're destroying using demonstrations, right?
Yeah.
So you're promising people to build houses for them, and on the other side you're pulling down houses. It doesn't make sense. And one thing I have to keep on singing, we will never get a chance, is elections are over. Every Kenyan expected the former prime minister to be president because every single time we were being told, huyu hata kishinda hata pewa. It was being pronounced openly. And we remember even the former permanent secretary, Njiri, Kibicho, telling us it will be 60% for Raila. In fact, we were resigned to the fate of a Raila presidency. Now, what happened, we don't know. We have a president who is not Raila. You need to accept that. As Kenyans, as voters, we never let him down. Him and the guys who are running his campaign let him down. So elections are over. And the noise you see in the nonsense of Mandamano is tied to the electoral outcome, which is quite unfortunate.
Collection of signatures.
That is not going
which has already started.
Yeah, it's not going to head anywhere because the government cannot be party to the nonsense of collecting. How will they be verified? Okay, and from where will they be collected? So that's out there. It's not going to lead anywhere. What I'd advise the former prime minister, and I think he's surrounded by people who don't want to tell him the truth, because he's an old man. He has made so much contribution to the process of democracy in this country. He needs to get to a point where he gets to make decisions which benefit the people he seeks, or he pretends, or he says he wants to benefit.
Are you saying the decisions he's making are not benefiting
They are
the
not.
people?
They are not. They are not. I witnessed what happened on Friday.
He's fighting for, the cost of living to go down.
Why didn't he do it when he was working with the former president? Because that is the time things were so bad. I'm in Kenya. I'm not Ugandan. I walked to a supermarket and bought unga at 260 shillings when Uhuru was president. Raila was with him, calling him my brother, my brother. He never protested. Maandamano hayakukua. So we need to be honest. I know there is politics, of course, but we just need to be honest. Things went down. They began going down when he was working with the former president. They actually took us down where we are now. So, and when you complain, if I come to you, let's say you've given me a job. The moment I show up on the first day, you begin blaming me for not doing it right. In a process which has to take like 6 years. It simply means you don't want to give me to work for you. Yeah. So this guy has just been elected. He's not even done putting together his government. There are legitimate issues Raila can come up with. And those ones don't even require demonstrations. He needs to actually keep the president on toes when it comes to appointment of officials to public offices, to make sure the mosaic of the Kenyan people is captured. If there are 2 people from Rift Valley, we need to have 2 from Central, 2 from Coast, Nyanza, so we can have all these guys spread out to all parts of the country. That is an issue he can raise. And I'm sure the president will listen. He needs to talk about how maybe the president can come up with subsidies. Obviously, subsidies are a problem because in the previous regime, they were being used to feed some people, 6, 7 people. You're given a lot of money to supply cheap unga. You don't do it. You just take the money to the bank. That is a discussion you can have with the president to make life simpler or easier for Kenyans.
So that's, I saw the NGO council.
Yes.
The chair of the NGO council was saying, calling on Azimio to basically suspend the demonstration scheduled for this Wednesday and have dialogue with the president. Question, you've answered a bit of it, is you're having a dialogue. How do you bring down the cost of living? So dialogue is the way to go, because majority of people, every time dialogue is brought up, there's always a question of dialogue towards what, and what is the need for the other side.
Yeah, dialogue is always good, because I think in a climate like ours, the best way to solve issues is by discussion. Let's talk, we find a way. But then the Azimio side should have discussion points. Let's focus on the cost of living, for instance. Kenyans are spending a lot of money on unga, for example. What can you do as a government, and what can we advise you to do? And usually when it comes to realities, if I have mine and you have yours, and I'm fighting you without giving you an alternative that is superior to what you have, then that is a losing battle.
You're saying that the Azimio is not giving an alternative.
That is it. The best way to fight against an existing reality, which you think is inferior, is to come up with a superior one. And people will naturally drift towards the better one. That is what happens. Yeah. So Azimio has to have superior ideas anytime there is a discussion. You remember they came up and told us about servers, fungua server. But then we have a good number of Kenyans who know how to read. And when the Supreme Court obviously was looking at the case which was taken to them by Azimio, you remember at some point servers were opened, representatives of both teams went and saw whatever they were able to see. Areas which were not accessible, the Smartmatic gave out an explanation. This one has got our source code, we cannot expose it, because if we do, it will be what? Insecure. That means we cannot get jobs of running elections in other places. But where you guys can be able to access, here it is. So we remember that happened. So when they were talking about open servers, we knew that was just, political noise. They've moved from that, right? So it's a long, period of denial that we're still in a the election, period, which is quite unfortunate. So the former Prime Minister and the people around him who have some sense can sit down, come up with genuine discussion points, and even invite the President, who I am sure will be willing to have a discussion with the former Prime Minister.
Now, in terms of organizing and orchestrating and creating the platform where this kind of dialogue can happen, where do you see the church playing a role? And do you think the church is fit as it is right now to organize that?
To a large extent, our church is good. They've been very, very proactive. And I especially admire the role they played in the campaign period. When obviously, we have political pacts. If I'm running with you, maybe I make a pact, we agree, this time around it's you, next time it's me, those agreements. The church came out and said, this is what you guys promised. And we need to have this nation being set on a foundation of trust. If senior political leaders make these promises to the people, and then you just disregard them blatantly, you're setting a wrong example for the people. So as a church, they said, no, what you guys made a lot of noise about was like this. We listened.
Yes.
And as the people of God, whether it was good or bad, we saw you do it. Now, as a president, if you disregard it, you said setting the wrong example, and as such, we cannot follow you. So they took sides, which was, to me, it was okay.
Yes.
So the church has a very, very strong role they can play. They can actually be the advocates of this dialogue. They can even come up with a structure on how it should be done, so that, and I don't think these guys need a lot of people around them. It's just Raila talking to the president directly. Let's do this, let's do that. These guys have worked together before. In 2007, Ruto was a very serious champion, a very serious foot soldier of the former Prime Minister. They worked together. And I am even thinking one of the reasons why the former Prime Minister got so many votes, especially in the Rift Valley, was because of the current president.
Yes.
So they know each other. If they sit down, they'll obviously agree. So they need to stop this disruptive, politicking and come up with solutions. If he needs to prepare the ground for 2027, which is okay, that's his political right.
Yes.
He has to do it at a time when Kenyans are not suffering as they are doing now. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. We got to bring the curtains down on this show. Interesting conversations about what is happening around the country.
Yeah.
This week is obviously, we've already started. It's going to be one that is what you can say action-packed.
Yeah, it's going to be full of stuff.
Rulings to be made that are definitely going to change the way we do operations in this country. So that is one of the things you should look out for tomorrow. And then we see whether sense is going to prevail in this country so that we can save this economy. Well, with that, we got to bring down the curtains on the show. Do you have yourself a lovely evening? God bless you. Thank you very much, Njiri.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Yeah.